Everybody in, nobody out. This is a quote from the Apple website, is a core value for the Apple company. When they say this, they mean that anyone and everyone is accepted, and from looking at their corporate social responsibilities, their Apple gender equality and minorities section clearly reinforces what they preach. By looking at Apple's Apple Gender Equality and Minorities CSR and what it entails, the statistics that show their progress, and their new project that fights systemic racism, it is clear to see that Apple understands their impact on society and that they need to put their thoughts into action to make a change. To begin, it is important to look at their Gender Equality and Minorities CSR closer. This CSR is enforced by CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, who is a part of the LGBTQ+ community himself, which is only fitting that he's so phenomenal at creating diversity at Apple. Tim Cook is quoted saying, "Differences are not just celebrated but essential," in an interview with CBS on January 13th, 2021. Apple hires all groups of people, including the LGBTQ+ community, veterans, people from ages 18 to 87, any race and gender. In Apple's Inclusion and Diversity Report on their website, it points out that over 25,000 employees are working in diversity network associations. This really shows their commitment to equality for all. Speaking of equality, Apple adds in their Inclusion and Diversity Report also that they have reached equal pay for all back in 2016. To accomplish this, they had adjusted the salaries of different workers every single year, and they stopped asking new hires what their past salaries had previously been. Apple also adds in their Inclusion and Diversity Report 2 other achievements. They have earned a perfect score for the past 16 years on the Human Rights Campaign Corporate Equity Index, and in 2019, they received a high rank for the technology industry on the Arjuna Capital's Gender Pay Scorecard. Next, it is also important to recognize that Apple practices what they preach, and their statistics prove this. Apple's Inclusion and Diversity Report from their website on apple.com also shows that 53% of new hires in this technology department were from underrepresented groups. Apple also adds in their report that they have diverse representation among employees, races, and ethnicities, which includes 23% Asian employees and 14% from Hispanic groups. This can be further seen by looking at the graph showing the minority representation from 2014 to 2018, increased from 19% to 24%. Even more, the minority representation under age 30 went up 10% from 25% to 35%. These statistics are an example of how Apple has succeeded in putting diversity first in the workplace. Not only is this true for minorities, but it's also true for women in the Apple workplace, who in this visual has increased from 30% to 33% for their overall representation in the company. And for women under 30, it went from 31 to 38%, a 7% increase. Finally, the diversity at Apple is seen in age as well, because 1/3 of all workers are under the age of 30. All of these aspects pointed out in the Inclusion and Diversity Report written by Apple exemplify their passion for equality. Not only does Apple's CSR and statistics of their business show that they support equality, they also are actively fighting against systematic racism with a new project they introduced in June of 2020. According to BusinessInsider.com, Apple is launching an $100 million project to fight for racial equality. This article, written by Avery Hartman in January of 2020, says Apple was inspired to introduce this 3-part project after the uproar with Breonna Taylor and George Floyd this summer. Apple's 3 projects include adding a learning hub in Atlanta, a U.S. Developer Academy in Detroit, and investing in 2 venture firms. The learning hub in Atlanta will cost $25 million and will offer a mentorship, career opportunities, a fellowship program, and an in-house curriculum to teach different types of app development. Next, looking at the Detroit Developer Academy, it will be a 30-day course to teach new developers. It will additionally have a 10 to 12-month program which will show these developers how to make iOS app developments. The Atlanta and Detroit projects will help with educating and making careers for students of historically Black colleges and universities students. Apple is funding 2 venture firms as well. One that funds diverse founders, and the other which invests in minority small and medium-sized businesses. This project really shows that Apple is committed on their CSR to fulfilling their gender equality and minorities. To conclude, Apple has stayed true to their CSR on gender equality and minorities in various ways. They embrace differences and welcome them. Their understanding of what their CSR is, seeing their actions are effective from their statistics, and looking at their recent project to fight systematic racism. There is no dispute that Apple sets a good example for society. Let's walk in Apple's footsteps and be different together.